Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for watching this video. In today's video, I am going to be talking about all my April favorites. I feel like there wasn't too much this month because I knew that I was going to wait for the Sephora event to make some purchases, so nothing new here, or nothing here is very new, and then also it's just a weird time, so I have been reusing a lot of my makeup products, but I do have some new stuff here. And let's just before we get into this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like it and share it if you want to share it. Don't forget to ring the bell as well and let me know what your April favorites have been. Have you just been reusing your old makeup loves or have you discovered anything new? Alright, so I'm going to start with face products. This is something that I picked up as kind of one of those deluxe samples that Sephora does. This is the Tatcha, the liquid silk canvas. I actually went ahead and purchased a full size of that. You'll see that in my Sephora haul, which I don't know when that's coming because I'm still waiting on some stuff. But this is Tatcha's newest primer. So they had the silk canvas primer that was released probably 2 years ago. It was more of a putty texture. It was very, very thick. And I liked that primer. But I will say, I feel like it was a primer that was suited better towards dry skin because I did notice with some foundations, it did make my makeup kind of look heavier or it would slide off at the end of the day. So it was something I tended to use more in the winter time when my skin was dry, but I wanted my makeup to look more smooth. And again, I found it very finicky with different foundation formulas. This, however, is, I mean, the effect it gives is the same, but I don't have the problem where makeup sliding off, or I don't have the problem where my makeup starts looking heavier throughout the day. So this is a very nice lightweight primer, but I find it's a beautiful two-in-one, so it's going to really smooth the skin. And it also does give that pore blurring effect, which I really enjoy because I do like to do that on the center of my face. It's definitely not a hydrating primer, so the way I like to use this is I like to apply one pump to my face and I focus it on the center of my face where I want my skin to look very smooth. I don't really care if my skin looks as smooth on the outskirts, but definitely through the center of the face. And it really does a beautiful job of just perfecting the skin and definitely giving you a refined look over your pores or any texture, like I said. And I don't have any problems with my makeup breaking up throughout the day. It doesn't feel silicone-y at all, which I really like. I don't like the way heavy silicone primers feel, even though I'll still use them just to get that effect. The next thing I have here is a foundation. Now this is the Chantecaille Future Skin Foundation. I wear the shade Cream. So this is something I've talked about, but I've actually never mentioned it in my favorites. And as I've been home more, well, we're all pretty much home more, I have been really putting this to the test again because I only brought a handful of foundations here and I've been really, really enjoying this. So this is an oil-free gel foundation and you really can get that, like you get that gel texture. It's very unique. It's a foundation that I've never really experienced before. This is something you will like if you like a light to medium coverage. I don't think you could build this up to full coverage. That's not really the point of it. But it just feels so nice on the skin. It feels so nourishing. Obviously, you can't really see that because it blends into my skin. But again, I really like foundations that don't emphasize texture, that sit really well over my skin and kind of blur the appearance of pores and everything. That's just what I like. And I find that lighter coverage foundations tend to do that better. And this just sits over the skin so well. It really does blur the appearance of pores if I am not going in with like a pore blurring. This foundation is also beautiful to mix in with other foundations. Like I've been mixing it with my Dior Air Flash, just if I want something with a bit more coverage. I find that it's very forgiving on dry patches. Right now my skin is very dry for some reason. And I just think it just looks very stunning. It doesn't look makeup-y at all. It never looks too overdone. It never looks too thick or cakey. Definitely not a foundation that's like that, but it wears all day as well. I don't get any breaking up. It definitely looks a little more hydrating towards the end of the day, but because it is oil-free, I find that it lasts day to night, and it's just really beautiful. And I also find, if you guys have the Sicily Blur Expert powder, I've done videos on that before where I said I like to use that under foundation more as a primer because it really does blur. This is a foundation that sits very beautifully over top of that. If you're maybe wanting to use this for a going out foundation, it definitely just looks so perfecting on the skin. So I've been loving this. I do have a lot of Chantecaille in this video. I guess I've just been, I am going to do that full face of Chantecaille, so I've been really playing with these products just so I can go into depth in that video. But this here is the Chantecaille Radiance Gel Bronzer. Again, this is not the first time I've talked about this on my channel. This is a liquid gel texture. Definitely not too liquidy, and it just blends so beautifully on the skin. You wouldn't think that because of how it comes out. It does look a little intimidating, but seriously, once it's blended onto the skin, it gives you such a sheer bronzed effect and just adds such a beautiful sun-kissed glow. And it's so easy to use. Again, like I said, it does seem kind of intimidating, but once this sets down on your skin, it's not going to move. So I don't know, I've just been really loving this. This is something that I like to apply cream products before I apply foundation. So I like to apply like my Charlotte Hollywood Flawless Filter, and then I go in with my cream bronzer, and then over top of that, I'll blend my foundation, and it just looks so pretty. It gives you that sun-kissed glow. Another use that I have been using this for is I actually love this mixed into foundations, and this is perfect to mix in with your foundation if you have something that's too light. Again, it's that nice warm color, and it mixes into any foundation that I've used with it perfectly. It's a very sheer product, a sheer bronzer, so I think that's why it is. And again, it is a gel texture, no oil, so it's not going to cause any kind of wonkiness when you do mix it in. I actually have another bronzer to mention, but this one is a powder bronzer. So this right here is the Guerlain Terracotta, the Terracotta Light Bronzer, and I got mine in the shade 03 Natural Warm. So Guerlain does beautiful bronzers. I've had a few before, but some of them have got discontinued. They're very famous for their bronzers, and they have that Guerlain scent to it if you're familiar with that. So that's not everyone's favorite, but this is a beautiful bronzer. It's definitely more on the warm side. And it's really cool because you get that middle bronze shade right in the center, and then on the outskirts, like in that kind of flower shape, you have a warm tone bronzer. You have more like of a terracotta rose, almost like a blush shade, and then you have a deeper shade. It's still a little bit warm, and it does have a bit of sheen in that. But when you mix these all together, you just get oh gosh, where am I going to swatch this? You just get the perfect warm brown. And I tend to like bronzers that are a little more on the warm side just for my skin coloring and tone, but it's so pretty. It's not too dark. I thought that originally this would be too dark, but it gives you a very skin-like effect. This isn't one of those gel texture powders. It is like a powder, but it looks really stunning on the skin, and it's nothing, there's no sparkle or shimmer. It's weird because it does look like it has a bit of a glitter in it, but it definitely does not come off on the skin. And it just gives you that perfect sun-kissed glow for the summertime. Since this is a bit on the warmer side, this is definitely something that I am going to be reaching for this spring and summer. I just love how this sits on the skin. I love the effect it gives. It's not too overdone, not too warm, and it just gives you that healthy glow that I love in my bronzers. And it's a product that's really easy to blend on the skin as well, which I think is important when you're going in with a bronzer. You don't want something that's going to be patchy, that's hard to blend, that's too dark. Very pretty. So I would highly recommend checking this formula out if you haven't yet. I've been loving this. So I have another Chantecaille product. This is the Chantecaille Loose Powder, the Loose Powder Face Powder in the shade Light. This is actually good for 36 months, so it's pretty good for a face powder. I will say I absolutely despise the packaging because you just can't help but powder get everywhere. It's so annoying. So yeah, I would try and pour it out on the lid. And then when you close the lid, it obviously comes out through the side. It's just annoying packaging, unfortunately. So I feel like a lot of powder does go to waste. But the powder itself is stunning. It's a very interesting powder, actually. So this is one of the only loose powders that I like to use both under my eyes and on my face. This starts off giving you a very natural, it's like a natural matte satin finish. It reminds me of the Chanel loose powder in the finish when it starts out. But as you go throughout the day, it warms up to your skin so beautifully and almost gives you more of that. It's a very skin-like powder, shockingly, but it gives you more of a satin finish, and you almost see this slight, I don't want to say pearlescent because it's not shimmery, but it just gives you almost a soft diffused effect to your skin. It just, as the day progresses, it gives you a very soft glow and looks very diffused on the skin, still retains, it just retains that skin-like appearance, and again, doesn't look powdery throughout the day. It never separates throughout the day. It keeps you, it keeps oil at bay, that's for sure. I mean, I only get a little bit oily throughout my T-zone throughout the day, but it never looks, at the end of the day, I never feel too oily. Sometimes with a loose powder on my skin, I just find that I almost look too dry at the end of the day. Either that, or if you have any oils on your skin, it can sometimes look really heavy. I never find that with this powder. It just remains really light on the skin. And I think this is just such a good one, and I can't believe I haven't tried it out before. Again, the packaging stinks, but the powder inside is very beautiful, and the effect it has on the skin, very different than any other powder. Like I said, it kind of starts out like the Chanel, but by the end of the day, it almost looks like the Hourglass loose powder. So that one does have a little bit of a sheen to it. Very interesting, but I like this one better for under my eyes than the Hourglass one, just because all right, so this is a new purchase for me, but I had to mention it in this video because I seriously cannot get enough of it. So this is the Nars powder blush in the shade Orgasm X. I recently picked this up probably, I think it was just before the Sephora VIB sale. I had one of those $100 gift cards that you can get, and I decided to get this because I don't really know why, because I don't really like the original Orgasm blush at all. I felt like the shimmer in that just was not, it was not a good look on my skin tone. I don't like blushes that have an obnoxious amount of shimmer that you can see the glitter particles. I just feel like it enhances texture and it's not a good look. Anyways, this is the shade Orgasm X from Nars. This is one of their new releases, a new formula. Actually, I don't know if it's a new formula, but it's one of their new releases that they came out with. And it's this beautiful peachy pink. It comes off on the skin, kind of that perfect combination of a peachy pink, and it has a gorgeous sheen to it, but you can't see any glitter in it, which is why I really love it on the cheeks. This is so super pigmented. You only need to dip your brush in it twice, get off that excess, and then just buff it onto the cheeks. And I just think it gives you such a healthy glow. It just really livens up the complexion. And again, this is such a perfect color for the spring and summertime. I just can't get enough of these coral shades, especially because it does have that sheen in it. And I just think it looks so glowing and beautiful on the cheeks. You wouldn't even necessarily need a highlighter. I still like to go in with a little bit of highlight. And again, I'll talk about the one that I've been really loving this month, but I just think this is so pretty. It melts into the skin so beautifully where you don't feel like you're wearing a powder blush, like it never looks heavy. And it's so long wearing. I think because it is so intense and it just melts right into the skin, it almost just like sinks into the skin and gives you just such a natural, pretty glow, which I know it does not look natural, but if you really blend in, buff it in, especially if I go in with a buffing powder over top, it's stunning. So I'd highly recommend this. I don't think I'll ever run out of it because it is so pigmented, but I've been really, really loving this. If you like peachy pink blushes, they give you a very beautiful warmth to your skin. Again, I'm wearing it today. I would highly recommend this. I just have one more complexion product to talk about, and of course it's from Chantecaille again. I recently picked up the Chantecaille Liquid Lumiere in the shade Brilliance. So this is more of a champagne gold shade. I picked this up in my last luxury beauty haul that I launched, so I'm going to just apply it on my hand there. Again, this is a beautiful gel texture. It's very similar to the formula that's in the bronzer, and it just blends on the skin so beautifully. So I love this highlighter because I can apply it over top of powder products. It sits on the skin so nice. It doesn't have any glitter in it. It just gives you such a lovely sheen. This is something I also like to dab like on the inner corners of my eyes, or if I'm wearing like a Charlotte Tilbury cream eyeshadow, this is really pretty to just press on the center to just add a little bit of glow. But it honestly gives you such, like, do you see that? It gives you such a pretty glow on the skin. And I feel like it's one of those very sophisticated highlights where if you don't want to look like you are glowing from outer space. I don't really like those type of highlights. I just think they're a little too intense for me. This is like a candlelight glow where when you just shift your face ever so slightly, you'll get that peak of a glow. And I just think that kind of look is very pretty. It's never too overdone. It's not overwhelming in the slightest. And again, once this dries down, it really sets and it lasts all day on the skin. So perfect for the spring and summer coming up when you just want to use more cream products. I also love to mix this in with my either primer or my foundation just to give my foundation a little more glow. Or if I want less coverage on that day, I can apply a little bit of this, mix it in, and it gives you more of like a tinted moisturizer effect. And again, it's such a unique highlighter because sometimes if you mix highlighters in with your foundation, they'll emphasize texture. I don't want to say it blurs the appearance of the pores, but it gives you this soft focus effect. And I feel like this is what this product does when I mix it in with my foundations. And I just love this guy. So I would highly recommend if you're looking for a new cream highlighter. Next on my favorites list is the Laura Mercier Nude Rose Caviar Stick. This was really surprising to me because I didn't get so much use out of her previous releases, and it's not that I didn't like the formula. I don't know, I just never used them all that much. So this is the shade Nude Rose right here. This is so creamy and it blends onto the eyes really nice. But this you can just apply straight on the eye, blend it out, and it gives you just such a soft, pretty sheen. I really like this Nude Rose shade because it's still in the like natural tones, but it just adds, it just has a soft pink vibe. It's like a pink copper rose gold sort of shade. And I just think it's a really nice color for the spring because it is a bit on the brighter neutral side, and I just think pinks go so well in the spring and summer, and it just gives such a beautiful glow. This would look really nice if you just wanted to pop your bronzer onto your crease and then apply this. But I'm just really happy with these. This is also really beautiful in the waterline if you just want to add a little bit of glow to your eyes and make your eyes pop a little more. I find that it wears all day, again, doesn't crease. This layers really well underneath powder eyeshadows as well. So I've been really happy with this formula from Laura Mercier. My next favorite is the new Chanel lip liners. So I was debating on what shade I wanted to get. I have her original lip liners, but I did not like those. I know a lot of people had success with them, but I just was not a fan. I didn't like how they felt on my lips. They were too drying. They weren't very creamy and smooth. I just wasn't a fan of the original formula. So I was a little hesitant at first, but a lot of people had been giving these really great reviews. So I decided I would pick up a nude shade because I just like to wear a nude lipstick the most often. So I got the shade 156 Beige Natural. There's a little swatch of it there. It's nice because it comes with a sharpener, and then you have the pencil on one end, and then on the other side you get a little brush, which I don't use too often, hardly ever, but it is nice if you just want to apply lip liner on the outside and then blend that inwards. So I really like this, this pencil because it is so nice and creamy, but it sets down and it is so long wearing, and it just makes a really good base if you're going in with a lipstick over top. I just like to wear this on its own and put a little bit of gloss over top, or I like to use my Laneige sleeping mask over top of it. And again, it just wears all day. It doesn't fade awkwardly. It doesn't crumble because it is long wearing. Sometimes with long wearing lip pencils, they tend to crumble or feel very dry, or you get that white nastiness in the center of your mouth. But no, this is a very long wearing one. Very nice and creamy, easy to apply, because I really am glad that Chanel updated this formula and changed it, because I was someone who was not a fan of the original. So I'm glad that this is a remake that makes me happy, because sometimes that does not happen these days, but all good things. I have one last makeup product, and this might come as a surprise because I just did a video with the Victoria Beckham Silk Eye Brick, and I said in my video that I wasn't sure I was a huge fan of it. Again, it was so expensive for Canadian. I paid $95. That's including shipping though. So obviously the palette wasn't that much itself, but it kind of was because I didn't have to pay shipping. So this is what the palette looks like. It's a beautiful selection of warm tones. And I just thought that this was so much similar to my Tom Ford Suspicion palette, but that's like my number one. Now, I really love this palette because it is more subdued. This gives you just such a lovely soft sheen. And I think the more that I've played with it, okay, those are probably terrible swatches, but the more I've played with it, the more I've really fallen in love with it, just because it's a very nice palette to go to when you don't want to look overdone. I mean, not that the Tom Ford Suspicion makes you look overdone, but there's definitely a bit more glitter to it. And these just look so soft and pretty on the eyes. I think it's really nice if you have more mature eyes, or you don't want something that's overwhelming or too intense. You don't want any glitter. You want something that's very easy. One thing I will say about this is that you have to be careful not to overblend, because then they can just kind of melt into one another. But I mean, that would make it very easy for a beginner, or if you just want something super quick, because you don't have to work too hard to blend these out at all. I don't get any fallout throughout the day. I just like that these give you such a soft effect. It's very light. It's almost like no makeup eyeshadow. It's not really that way, but it's very soft makeup, and it's It's like a natural glam look. I just like this because it still makes me look like me, but a more enhanced version. So I actually have been really liking this. If you're debating between this or the Suspicion palette from Tom Ford, I definitely still prefer the Suspicion, but this is something I've been using daily because I just think it's great for the daytime. I would wear this for night too, of course, but I've just been really happy with it. So I kind of have to take back my words because I do think that this palette is gorgeous, and it's my favorite Victoria Beckham palette that she's come out with. I just really am happy with this one. All right, so in this favorites video, I thought I would add a little more spice to it and change things up and add a favorite wine of the month. So if you didn't notice, I have a guest now, and this is my mom. She actually has her level 2 sommelier certification.
Yep,
I nailed it that
certification. You definitely nailed it. That's correct.
We've been loving French wine, basically, and this has been our favorite of the month. It's a Sancerre. Do you want to explain a little bit more about it?
Sure.
I'm not too educated.
Yeah, no, I think you're actually doing really well. This is definitely one of our favorites, especially with the weather warming up, because Sancerre, which is a small region in the Loire Valley, is known for the Sauvignon Blanc grapes, and that's what the Sancerre is made of, and all the grapes must come from Sancerre to be labeled Sancerre. And the soil there is quite flinty. There's a lot of limestone, and it produces a style of wine that tends to be very mineral and very different from Sauvignon Blanc that would come from New Zealand or Australia, where there tends to be more of an kind of in-your-face lemon lime citrus profile, where if you get a Sancerre, it's probably going to be a more refined wine where you're going to get layers of flavor that come through. But this one in particular is one that we both have just fallen in love with, and have kept, I guess it's kept us coming back to Sancerre quite regularly.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, Sancerre has definitely become a favorite. I should mention this is the Jean-Paul Belland 2017 Grand Cuvée Sancerre. This in particular is just a really, really nice one. It has lots of flavor. Like, every time we drink it, we always discover a new flavor profile, I feel like. Like at first I picked up a lot of honey and pear. But then the next time I drink it, I got a lot more pineapple and a bit of mango. And I just feel like it's a very interesting one because it's a very layered wine. So
you're right, it's very layered and complex, and just a really nice, elegant, refined wine that probably goes with your theme of makeup.
Probably.
I think
I like luxury wine and makeup.
That's true. There's a theme going on there.
High maintenance. But yeah, I highly recommend this one. So it's definitely a little more on the expensive side. In Canada, we pay around $43 for it, which it's a little on the higher end. In the States, you're probably lucky enough to pay a lower price. So definitely if you want to impress someone, this is your wine. Well, if you like white wine. But
or even if you just want to,
or if you just want to drink it,
enjoy fantastic glass of wine, because we're all hanging around the house a lot more, and I think there's something nice for not getting out to treat ourselves the way we used to, and just opening a really fantastic bottle of wine and enjoying that with someone else, even virtually.
Yeah, totally.
Is just a really nice way to feel like you're treating yourself. And so for me, this definitely feels like when we open this and we have a drink of this, it's just a nice little treat.
It is, yeah. So this is the wine of the month. If you haven't tried a Sancerre yet, you are missing out, and I definitely recommend this brand in particular. But that is it for this favorites video. I hope you enjoyed this little incorporation of wine. I think I'm going to get my mom to come on next month and we'll talk about something else. But that is it for this favorites video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.
Subscribe.
Yes.
Ring
my
the
mom
bell.
told you, so don't disappoint.
Isn't that a thing?
Yes, you ring the bell.
You ring the bell.
You ring the bell.
Subscribe.
You like it. You share if you want to share it. Also, don't forget to leave me your favorites down below. And if you're a wine drinker, let me know your favorite, or if you've tried Sancerre, or just leave me some recommendations below because I'd love to try them out. We would love to try them out, wouldn't we?
Yes, definitely.
And
we would try them out.
yeah. So I will see you in my next video, and cheers.
Cheers, everyone.